The screen went dark. A hiss of static filled every device, every speaker, every mind. Then, a voice, low, distorted, ancient, cut through the air. "They're already here," it said. Silence followed, not the kind born of peace, but of dread holding its breath. All around the world screens flickered with alien symbols, indecipherable at first, then slowly rearranging into patterns that felt familiar. The protagonist, Alex Rourke, stared at the wall-mounted screen in his cluttered apartment, the light from the transmission reflecting in his wide eyes. "What the hell is this?" he whispered, but the words felt hollow. Outside, sirens wailed. News anchors froze mid-sentence. Civilians flooded the streets. The signal wasn't just received, it was felt, like a pulse in the bones. In the chaos, a message repeated beneath the noise: "We've been waiting for you." And in that moment, humanity learned something terrifying. The arrival wasn't a threat. It was a summons. Alex stepped outside into a city unraveling. Car alarms wailed. People screamed. The night sky throbbed with a green hue, casting ghostly reflections on cracked pavement. Civilians gathered in clusters, some praying, others rioting. Military trucks thundered through intersections, blaring warnings in garbled tones. A woman grabbed Alex's arm and shouted, "Did you see it? They're here! They're here!" He didn't answer. He couldn't. His ears still rang from the signal. In the distance, a billboard shorted out and burst into flame. Drone sirens buzzed overhead. A man climbed atop a car, yelling about the reckoning. Alex stumbled forward, eyes darting, heart pounding. None of this felt real. But the fear was. The order had crumbled. All that was left was confusion, fear, and the echo of that voice. Inside a secured bunker, the defense minister slammed his fist against the table. "Kill the feeds, now." Technicians scrambled as command servers blinked with corrupted transmissions. "We're too late," someone muttered. Files were spreading online, videos, audio, screenshots, all carrying the same cryptic message: "We've been waiting for you." Back in his apartment, Alex watched as one final live stream cut out mid-sentence. Then, silence. No phone. No internet. Just darkness. Every government line went dead within seconds. Scroll. Social media collapsed. Satellites reoriented without command. The blackout wasn't global. It was targeted. Controlled. Outside, the city dimmed, as if some unseen hand reached out and pulled the plug. Alex whispered. They knew we'd panic, and they wanted it. Alex sat alone in the wreckage of his apartment, the glow of candlelight flickering against his face. His phone lay shattered on the floor. He had tried calling his sister. No answer. His mother? Gone since the blackouts started. He could still hear the voice in his head. We've been waiting for you. Was it meant for him? Or all of them? He opened a drawer and pulled out a photo. His family at the lake. A distant memory. Were they part of this? Were they safe? He ran his fingers over the faces, his heart pounding. I didn't ask for any of this, he muttered. But deep down a part of him feared the truth. This wasn't just coincidence. It felt personal, as if they had come for him. Across the globe the same scenario played out. Temples, churches, mosques, crowds gathered in terrified prayer. In Paris, protesters clashed with armed police beneath a sky pulsing green. In New Delhi, children screamed as symbols crawled across digital billboards. In Tokyo, a Shinto priest declared the gods were no longer alone. The entire world was paralyzed by one voice. We've been waiting for you. But the scariest part wasn't the signal itself. It was the silence that followed. No answers. No demands. Just a presence. Watching. Waiting. As if it knew the chaos it had unleashed was only the beginning. The sun never really rose the next morning. Just a gray smudge pushing through the gloom. Alex stood at the edge of his sister's apartment building, staring at the collapsed entryway. Rubble blocked the door. Dried blood streaked the steps. He called her name again and again, but there was no answer. Inside, silence reigned. That's when he saw the toy robot, her son's favorite, half buried in the dust. He knelt beside it, his hands trembling. "You were just here," he said under his breath. His voice cracked. No bodies. No survivors. Just a void where a family used to be. He turned away, swallowing the pain, but it clawed inside him. The world had shifted overnight, and now it demanded sacrifices. The invasion wasn't only physical. It struck at the core of what made them human. And for Alex, this wasn't just an attack on Earth. It was the erasure of everything he loved. He wandered through the park near the river, a place his family once loved. The air was still, eerily quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Children's swings creaked in the breeze. He sat on the bench where he and his sister had laughed, once. The laughter echoed in his memory. Her voice, his nephew's tiny footsteps, the warmth of simpler days. It all felt impossibly far away now. He stared at the river, its surface rippling like it too remembered. But memory offered no comfort, only questions. Had this always been coming? Had they been living in ignorance while the noose quietly tightened? "We were so blind," he whispered. Around him, nature carried on. Birds chirped. Trees swayed. But it was wrong. The normalcy was a lie, just like everything else. In the basement of an old bookstore, beneath stacks of dust-covered philosophy texts, a different kind of discussion unfolded. Candles lit the corners. A dozen strangers sat in a circle, their faces tense, lit by old battery-powered screens. This wasn't a support group, it was the beginnings of resistance. Some had seen the same glyphs. Some had heard the voice in dreams. Others had proof. Screenshots, intercepted audio, even biological traces. "This is not a first contact," said a woman with a weathered face. "It's the continuation of something that began long ago." Alex listened, wary, until someone asked, "Who here lost someone?" Nearly every hand went up. His did too. The truth wasn't coming from governments anymore. It was here, whispered in hidden rooms by the broken. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. The voices weren't just memories anymore. They were creeping into his thoughts. As he stared into the bathroom mirror, the reflection didn't feel like his. Something in his eyes shimmered. He splashed water on his face. But it was still there. A faint trace of the glyph, flickering beneath his skin like a hologram trying to surface. He backed away, breath quickening. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. No answer. But deep down, part of him knew. This connection wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Maybe even genetic. Were they inside him now? Or had they always been? The fear took root, not of the aliens, but of himself. And the terrifying idea that maybe, just maybe, he had been a part of this long before the signal ever arrived. Reports began surfacing across the dark web. People disappearing. Not dying, just gone. Entire families. No evidence. No sounds. Just empty rooms and faint electrical burns on walls. Alex and the Resistance scanned every channel they could find. "They're testing something," someone said. "Facing people out." But no one knew why, or who would be next. Alex stared at a photo of his sister's family, now marked with a red dot like hundreds of others. He felt the dread settling deeper. This wasn't a war. It was a quiet erasure. Targeted. Surgical. Someone was choosing who got to exist. "Why them?" he muttered. "Why not me?" He didn't realize he was shaking until someone grabbed his shoulder. "Because they're not done with you," the woman from the basement whispered. "You're still useful." Alex followed coordinates whispered by a dying Resistance contact. Deep in the industrial ruins outside the city, hidden beneath the shell of a collapsed tech lab, he found a door, unmarked, cold, humming faintly. The biometric scanner shouldn't have worked. But it did. It opened for him. Inside, the temperature dropped. Rows of alien tech consoles blinked with unreadable interfaces. The room was old, very old. Dust covered everything, but the systems still pulsed, alive. A woman's voice played softly from an intercom. Subject active, genetic confirmation, accepted. Alex stumbled back. What the hell is this? He muttered. This place didn't just recognize him, it was built for him. Or people like him. That's when he understood. The conspiracy wasn't new. It had been waiting for generations. As Alex explored the chamber, monitors activated on their own. Surveillance feeds, hundreds of them, showed cities, people, moments from Earth's history. But not just any moments, his childhood, his sister's graduation, his father's disappearance. They've been watching us, he whispered. All of us. Then a sound behind him, a footstep too soft to be human. He turned quickly. Nothing. Just shadows. But something was in here. Breathing. Watching. His heartbeat pounded like thunder. You don't belong here, a voice rasped from the dark. A man emerged, tall, cloaked, eyes glowing faintly blue. You're the trigger, Alex, and now they know you've awakened. Before Alex could respond, the man vanished into smoke, leaving behind only a symbol etched on the floor, one Alex had seen in his dreams. Back in the Resistance hideout, Alex burst in, breath ragged. They've been watching me my whole life, he said. The others stared in stunned silence. One of them, Jonas, the ex-Intel analyst, grabbed him. You activated it? Alex nodded. Then Jonas laughed. Not relief. Something darker. Good, he said. We've waited long enough. Before anyone could react, Jonas pulled a knife and stabbed the nearest Resistance member. Screams erupted. Alex tackled him, wrestled for control, blood on both their hands. Jonas' face twisted, his voice distorting. You think I don't remember? He snarled. I've waited for this moment longer than you've been alive. His eyes turned pitch black. Not human. Jonas wasn't who he said he was. He never had been. He was one of them. And now they knew where Alex was. The hideout was compromised. Flames licked the ceiling as Alex ran, smoke choking his lungs. Behind him, the sounds of gunfire and screams echoed. He clutched a drive ripped from the alien terminal. Jonas had tried to destroy it. It had answers. Outside, the night air hit him like ice. Sirens wailed in the distance, too late, or maybe too perfect in timing. He turned back only once, watching the place where fragile hope had just burned to ash. We were never safe, he said to no one. His blood still on his hands, Alex vanished into the shadows of a city that no longer felt like home. The Resistance was broken, their trust shattered. And now he was alone, with knowledge they'd kill to silence. But he wasn't running anymore. He was heading straight into the storm. From a skyscraper rooftop overlooking the city, a woman in a tailored black coat watched Alex disappear into the dark. Her eyes flickered, not entirely human. Beside her, a figure in military uniform handed over a tablet. He escaped, he said. But the prototype has been triggered. The woman nodded, calm. That's all we needed. The tablet showed Alex's face, blinking with biometric overlays. They'll never trust him now, she said. Perfect. As the camera panned behind her, the skyline shimmered, buildings subtly shifting in form, unregistered to the human eye. The invasion wasn't coming. It was already here. Embedded. Evolving. And humanity would never see the knife until it was already in their back. Alex stood inside a forgotten archive beneath the ruins of an old government building, its servers miraculously still powered by backup solar grids. The AI that activated didn't speak. It simply showed him a sequence of historical logs. But they weren't from Earth. They were from above. Generations of surveillance, human experimentation, covert modifications to DNA, all focused on specific bloodlines. One file glowed brighter than the rest. Subject, Rourke lineage. As Alex opened it, a cascade of data flooded the screen, His grandfather's military missions, his father's disappearance, strange anomalies in medical records, his own neural mapping flagged as inherently compatible. You weren't chosen, the screen finally printed. You were built. He fell to his knees, the truth hollowing him out. His life hadn't been hijacked. It had been crafted. The deeper Alex searched, the more the archive revealed. Hidden behind layers of encryption, he found a locked folder labeled Echelon, Project V. It took every ounce of his instincts and half-remembered code fragments from his father to break in. What he found shattered what little was left of his reality. A video file played, an old recording of a lab. His father stood beside what looked like a suspended alien figure, tall, sleek, humanoid. The integration must continue, his father said on screen. Rourke blood can withstand the neural bridge. No one else has. Alex recoiled. His father wasn't just a scientist. He had helped them. Voluntarily. The betrayal cut deeper than anything else. Not just government lies. Not alien invasion. His own family, knotted in the roots of it all. The terminal pulsed red. Location compromised, it warned. He grabbed the extracted data drive and fled through the archive's maintenance tunnels. At the exit, he found someone waiting, Agent Naira, a contact from early resistance days, presumed dead. She didn't look dead now. Taller. Paler. Wow. Eyes too still. I'm not here to hurt you, she said, voice calm but hollow. You're the key, Alex. That's why they need you alive. He drew his weapon. They. She nodded. All sides. She extended her hand. Come with me. I'll show you what you really are. He hesitated. He felt it in her presence, part human, part something else. A hybrid. Not. She was what he could become. What they'd designed him to become. The future wasn't waiting. It was demanding. And it was in his blood. Naira led him to a secluded site in the desert, an ancient crash zone long scrubbed from public records. Half-buried alien structures jutted from sand like broken bones. This is where the veil thinned first, she said. Inside the ruins, symbols glowed as Alex passed, reacting to his presence. He saw echoes, memories not his own, flashes of stars, war, betrayal. He dropped to his knees, overwhelmed. You carry both sides, Naira said. Human and other, you are the bridge. Alex's hands trembled. I don't want this, he whispered. You don't get to want, she replied gently. You are. The ruins pulsed with energy. The war hadn't started now. It had started the day he was born. And it was about to erupt again, with him at the center. As night fell over the ruins, a message downloaded into the drive's core. Genetic keys, activation codes, and a phrase etched in ancient script. The blood that binds opens the gate. Alex stood in silence, the phrase ringing in his skull. The connection was complete now. He could feel it. Every whisper of the alien language made sense. Every dream was a memory. They chose my bloodline for this, he said aloud. They used us as the fuse. Naira approached, solemn. And now you either burn or ignite everything. The truth wasn't that Alex was special. It was that his entire lineage had been engineered for this moment. Not just to survive the future, but to define it. The fate of two civilizations wasn't behind him. It was inside him. Beneath the alien ruins, Alex and Naira uncovered a buried chamber. A vault sealed by living code. As Alex approached, the glyphs lit up, forming patterns only he could read. A central pod rose from the floor, opening to reveal something extraordinary. Not a weapon in the traditional sense, but a device humming with quantum energy. It responds to your neural frequency, Naira said. It's designed to bond. As he reached out, the device latched onto his forearm, its circuitry snaking across his skin like silver veins. Pain shot through him. Visions surged, future cities burning, Earth fractured, 1,000 timelines collapsing. What is this? Alex gasped. Nira answered, its choice, to fight back or disappear. The weapon didn't grant power. It demanded a price. And it had already chosen its bearer. News spread across the resistance network like fire. Alex Rourke had activated alien tech. Some hailed him as a weapon of salvation. Others saw him as a threat. Factions fractured. Leaders accused each other of alien loyalty. One cell detonated their own base rather than risk infiltration. "We're falling apart," Nira warned. Alex stood silent, listening to intercepted chatter. His name twisted into code words. The hybrid, the trigger. He never asked for this role, but now he couldn't escape it. "If I move, they fear me. If I stay, they'll kill each other," he said. Nira met his eyes. Then maybe it's time to stop being part of their plan. He realized then. The greatest enemy wasn't out there. It was within. Humanity was eating itself alive, and he was the excuse. To end the spiral of chaos, Alex chose to descend into the enemy's heart. Deep beneath what was once a secure research facility, now controlled by the alien-human coalition, lay a central conduit, a place where alien tech and human data merged. He broke in alone. Every hallway buzzed with static, every screen showed fragments of his past. The deeper he went, the stronger the connection. He felt the device on his arm pulsing with each step. At the final chamber he found it. The core. A living neural node, pulsing like a brain. As he approached, it pulsed in rhythm with his own heartbeat. "You are the bridge," it echoed. "Complete the link." But completing the link meant giving up something. His autonomy. His identity. His humanity. He stood there trembling. One step from forever. Before he could decide, the silence shattered. Explosions rocked the chamber. Resistance forces had followed him, believing he'd defected. A gunfight erupted in the dark. Alex dove for cover as Nira appeared from the shadows, deflecting blasts with alien reflexes. "They think you've turned," she shouted. He looked at the rebels, faces once filled with hope, now burning with fear. "Stop," he yelled. "You're being used." But no one listened. In the chaos, the core began destabilizing, feedback arcing across the chamber. If it ruptured, the city above would die. Alex faced the impossible: kill his own to stop the crossfire, or finish the link and risk becoming something else entirely. "You wanted a war?" he muttered. "Then I'll end it." He stepped toward the core as the chamber lit with fire and screams. Alex touched the core. Light enveloped him, pure, deafening, invasive. Memories that weren't his flooded in. Ancient wars, lost civilizations, the origins of the bloodline. Then silence. When he opened his eyes, the room had changed. The fighting had stopped. Bodies lay still. Survivors stared in awe and terror. Alex stood, transformed. The gauntlet had fused into his skin. His veins pulsed with alien light. He felt every connection. Satellites, resistance comms, deep orbit channels. He could see everything. Feel everything. "What are you now?" Nira asked quietly. Alex turned to her, his voice layered with static and sorrow. "I don't know," he said. "But I think I just became the thing they all feared." The war was no longer about survival. It was about control, and he had just inherited both sides of it. The world didn't end with a bang, it just went quiet. For hours after the core event, no signals moved. Satellites froze. Drones hovered without commands. Every transmission passed through one mind: Alex. He sat alone atop a communications tower overlooking the dark city, surrounded by a halo of faint signals he could feel pulsing in the air like a second heartbeat. "They're listening," he whispered. "Not just the resistance. Not just Earth. The others. Across the stars. Watching. Waiting." Inside, the fusion had changed him. He no longer needed machines to translate or transmit. His very thoughts carried weight. But he could feel something else too. A presence distant, ancient, closing in. Nira stood at a distance, afraid to speak. "What happens now?" she finally asked. Alex replied, "Now." They answer back. The stars blinked. Not figuratively, literally. One by one, distant constellations pulsed with unnatural rhythm. The glyphs hovering around Alex flared, forming a new sequence. Then came the voice. It spoke in no human tongue, but he understood every word. "You have awakened. You have altered the path." Alex clutched his head. It wasn't pain. It was comprehension, too vast, too layered. A cosmic presence unfurled inside him, like a map too massive for a single mind. "You were not meant to survive," the voice continued. "Yet now, you are the signal." Lightning cracked across a clear sky. A ripple moved through space, no ships, no weapons, just presence. "They're not coming," he said aloud. "They're already inside the signal." The war wouldn't be fought with guns anymore. It would be a war of will, of control over truth itself. Across the globe, governments fractured under the weight of silence and fear. Some declared martial law. Others surrendered to the unknown. Broadcasts returned, but not from Earth. They came from Alex. Controlled, curated, shaping panic into purpose. Some hailed him as savior. Others called him an alien puppet. Riots erupted in major cities. Drones flew in squadrons over protest fires. Secret bunkers sealed their doors. The resistance splintered again. One faction demanded Alex lead. Another demanded his death. "You've become the storm," Nira told him. "Now you must choose what it destroys." Alex stood before the last free satellite array. He knew what one full spectrum pulse could do. End the lies. End the order. Maybe end everything. But clarity burned inside him. He was no longer a symbol. He was the choice. Alex stood before the transmission node. The gauntlet glowed, now part of his very bones. The system was ready. "One signal," he said. "That's all it takes to change everything." The room buzzed with tension. Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. "Once you send this, there's no coming back." He nodded. The message wasn't just for Earth. It was for everything. Every race watching. Every force listening. He inhaled, then pressed his palm to the core. Across the world, the skies shimmered. Clouds froze. Power grids surged. The signal leapt, not with sound, but with understanding. A universal truth, stripped of propaganda, raw and searing. The betrayal of humanity by its own leaders. The truth about the Rourke line. The map of the stars. "Let them see," Alex whispered. "Let them all see." The aftermath came swiftly. Systems overloaded. Power grids failed. Civilizations halted, frozen not by force, but by truth. The world staggered under the weight of revelation. Leaders vanished. Armies defected. Millions looked to the stars and understood for the first time how small they were. But not powerless. Alex emerged from the chamber, weakened but alive. His voice echoed inside every open channel. "You've seen it now. Choose what comes next." The war didn't end, but it changed. Earth was no longer prey. It was now a participant. And Alex, no longer just a man. No longer just a weapon. He was the convergence point, the junction of two paths, evolution or extinction. He looked at Nira. "This is only the beginning," he said. She nodded. "And you're not alone anymore." The world didn't cheer. It didn't rise in triumph. It stood in stunned silence. Cities that had once thrived under illusions now blinked to life under brutal clarity. Buildings still stood, but the systems behind them had collapsed. Governments dissolved. Militaries fractured. But people, they didn't kneel. They started moving, rebuilding, talking. Earth, for the first time in generations, felt a weight. Atop the broken remains of a command center, Alex looked out over the scorched skyline. They'll come back, Naira said. The others, stronger. Alex nodded. Let them. His voice held no fear. What was once a dying planet now carried a signal. Not a beacon of surrender, but a defiant roar. It was messy. Imperfect. Human. Wow. And finally, it belonged to its people again. In the last fortified council chamber, the remnants of the shadow government gathered in desperation. Screens flickered with static. Secret AI protocols refused to respond. One by one, agents removed their earpieces, defeated. He outmaneuvered us, one whispered. The woman in the black coat, the architect, stood at the head of the table, silent. Her eyes glowed faintly now, less human than ever. This isn't over, she said. He only thinks he has control. Behind her, the hologram shifted. A secondary layer of data emerged, something hidden even from Alex. He's powerful, she continued. But he was never the only one we prepared. Around the room, other faces flickered into view, subjects like Alex. Still dormant. Still unknown. Earth's awakening wasn't the end. It was the signal for the real game to begin. Skirmishes erupted in quiet places. Not with bullets but with truths. Former generals confessed on hacked broadcasts. Citizens turned against implants and trackers buried in their infrastructure. Old temples became new data centers. The war had changed form, now a battle of minds, belief, memory. Alex moved through it unseen, not as a symbol, but as a pulse running through it all. This isn't victory, he said once. It's disillusionment. But disillusionment gave birth to awareness. From the wreckage of lies, a new architecture was taking shape. One not owned by the powerful, but guarded by the awakened. Alex knew now that his role wasn't to win. It was to survive long enough for others to choose a different path. And they were, slowly, defiantly, beautifully. From orbit, Earth shimmered, no longer veiled, but exposed. Far above, hidden behind cloaking fields, ancient watchers stirred. One of them, long silent, activated. A figure stepped from its containment pod, humanoid but vast, skin etched with the same symbols that burned beneath Alex. The reckoning has begun, it said to no one. On Earth, Alex collapsed to one knee, clutching his chest. Something's waking, he gasped. Naira scanned the frequencies. They're responding. Not in anger. Not in fear. In interest. The message Alex sent had done more than reveal the truth. It had challenged the order that stood beyond galaxies. Earth was no longer hidden. It had spoken. And now, the galaxy would listen and judge. On a quiet mountain trail, far from the ruined cities, Alex walked alone. No signal. No tech. Just air, earth, and memory. He stopped near a ridge and looked out over the horizon, green valleys stretching into the distance. In his hand, he held a small transmitter, the final remnant of the core. He stared at it a long moment, then tossed it into the canyon below. The truth has a price, he said. I've paid mine. Behind him, Nira waited, silent. Not as a soldier, not as a guide, just as someone who understood. Alex turned, walked past her, and into the trees. No explosion. No music. Just wind, and the faint sense that something had ended, and something else had finally begun. Humanity had faced the mirror, and it had chosen to live.